You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Yo guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. I'm spending this summer trying to catch up on a ton of movies that I've neglected somehow throughout my entire life. I currently have a list of like 1,300 things that I'm trying to watch. I know that's not realistic for the summertime, but I'm trying to get somewhere over 100, somewhere near 150 films this summer. As I creep up on 50, there's two films in particular that I want to talk about that really resonated with me. The first one being the first film that I watched at the start of the summer, being 12 Angry Men, directed by Sidney Lumet and starring Henry Fonda. And then the film that I watched most recently, which was Witness for the Prosecution, which is directed by Billy Wilder and stars Tyrone Power and Marlene Dietrich and Charles Lofton. And the reason that I chose these two films, not only them being fantastic, and I love them very much now. I think they are some of the greatest films of all time, which is how I located them and sort of formed my list, trying to figure out what films were regarded as some of the best ever. They both came out in 1957, which is very interesting, and then, of course, they are both courtroom dramas. These films resonated with me so much. So, starting with 12 Angry Men, you have Henry Fonda and you have the rest of the jurors delegating, trying to determine whether or not this young man actually committed murder. You never find out whether or not this young man actually committed murder. That's irrelevant. It's the conversation that ensues for an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, however long this film is, and then just trying to get past their prejudices and their preconceived notions of who and what this young man is. The dialogue is really intelligent. It's really smart. It really forces viewers to think. And additionally, they give you 12 unique characters. You don't have characters that have a ton in common with any of the other jurors. You have 12 very unique characters that certainly overlap. It'd be nearly impossible to have 12 characters that don't have anything in common with any of the others. But they do such a spectacular job of creating individuals that are able to feed off of one another, see themselves in one another, and then learn how to develop and grow as a result of the people that are in the room with them. They use really tight shots. It takes place in effectively one room. That you're in the courtroom at the very beginning. You then transition to the room where they're beginning to delegate. There's a scene or two that takes place in the bathroom, but those are minor moments within the grand scheme of this film. So being in one room with these 12 gentlemen for the entirety, almost the entirety of this film, they use these really tight shots to capture the emotion on the faces of each of the individuals here. Henry Fonda being the lead, but everyone else playing an equally important role. And we're sort of immersed in this experience, almost becoming the 13th juror and trying to determine, based on the information that we're given, the evidence that we're given, whether or not this young man, who we don't know anything about, whether or not he is innocent or guilty. And I love how immersive this film is. Then we switch over to Witness for the Prosecution. This is much wilder. It's slightly less grounded than 12 Angry Men, but again, it's a courtroom drama, and it requires the viewer to think. We're spoon-fed bits of information, but they leave a lot of mystery present in this film. There is a ton that we don't learn until the closing moments. At the end of this film, a film that, I don't know where I watched it, but it's the original cut of this film, and at the very end, it's someone begging those in the theater not to ruin this surprise ending. So again, while we're given information that we have to take with a grain of salt, we don't really know what's true and what's not, we get to dissect these characters and an equally brilliant dialogue in Witness for the Prosecution. There's these constant twists and turns. There's these constant curveballs being thrown at us in both of these films. and it forces you to immediately forget everything that you've already thought you knew and try to relearn it. Try to analyze things objectively. Try to use only what you're given and nothing else to solve these cases. And I love how immersive these films are. I love how they require you to play along. They require you to dissect every character, every line of dialogue, everything in these films matter. I think that they're brilliantly made films. And I don't know if there's much of anything except for one extreme performance toward the end of Witness for the Prosecution, which still plays a pretty important role and effectively works the way it needs to. I don't think there's much that I would change about these films. I adored them. I'm so happy that 12 Angry Men got me started on this journey this summer, and I'm really happy that while I haven't capped anything off, I found a place where I feel like I've come full circle. Again, back to 1957, back to black and white, back to a courtroom drama, back to brilliant dialogue and close-up shots, and immersing us in this film in ways that it is still so pivotal to cinematic success today. It's awesome. I didn't know what these films were about when I turned them on. I just knew that they were highly regarded. I threw them on, I got what I got, and I love what I got. Both of these films are equal to me. They are 8.5s out of 10. I implore you to go see these films. Not go see these films, figure out where you can watch them. They are on streaming services. That's how I was able to watch. And really, you will enjoy these films if you like cinema. I promise you that you will like these films. So, until next time, peace.